Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Stitch Sessions, and welcome back to November's installment in our Home Sweet Home series. If you're new here, every year I do a series based on a theme. So a lot of people will do calendar blankets throughout the year. I like to do themed series, and this year's series is Home Sweet Home. So we are doing crochet projects all to do with the home. And for the month of November, our project is a bowl cozy. And you're thinking, well, what the heck would I use a bowl cozy for? Well, have you ever tried to pick up a bowl of soup after you've just poured hot soup into it? Or maybe you've put a bowl in the microwave and then you're trying to grab it and you've got to maneuver with the pot holders. Well, this solves your problem. If you place your bowl in the cozy first and then place the hot item in there, or even you can place this in the microwave. It will be warm if you take it out of the microwave, but the cozy will protect your hands as you pull the bowl out. Now, it's really important that you make this with 100% cotton, which I will talk about in the tutorial as we come along. But this is a really fun, fairly quick project to make. And in fact, like I talk about in the video, this would make for a fantastic housewarming gift or a hostess gift if you're going to a dinner or a party, which as we get further into the holiday season, you're going to be doing a lot of that, I'm sure. So the bowl cozy is what we're working on, and I made mine in these festive holiday colors because I am going to be definitely using my bowl cozy. I'm going to make a few of these for some of the holiday activities I'm going to be doing. And you can see on the inside, I actually just had a little bit left over of this, and I really don't like having leftover scrap. So I knew I was going to make this part on the inside of the bowl, so I just used up the end here, and then I've got this caramel color, which actually looks very much like butterscotch. So I've got the stripes on the inside that looks like butterscotch, and on the outside it looks a little bit like a candy cane. So I thought it was perfect for the holiday season. So I am excited to get you guys started on this project. You still have lots of time to whip this up in time for the holidays if that is your goal. So let's get started on crocheting our bowl cozy. Okay, so the first thing you want to determine is the size of your bowl cozy. Now, you want to take the bowl or the bowls that you're going to be making these for and measure the diameter. Now, mine is 6 inches across, right? So whether I measure it this way or that way, I'm going to measure 6 inches across. If yours is 8 inches or it's 10 inches, what you want to do is then add 2 more inches. So basically you're adding 1 inch around each side. So mine happens to be 6 inches, the opening. So I want my, basically my base to go as wide as 8 inches. I don't want this to be super snug. I want it to be comfortable so that I can take the bowl out if I need, but also enough that I can grasp the bowl with it all the way around. So that's this bowl. Now I just have a couple of other bowls here. So this one is a little taller, but a little narrower. So this one is probably, I measured it. It comes out to like 5 inches. So it's just a smidge smaller, but this size is still pretty great. It still allows me to grasp it and covers everything I need to have covered, but it's not going to swim too much in here. If the bowl was any smaller than this, this would be a little bit too big because it can slide a bit. So you just want to be careful there. Now, if you have a bowl that actually, I don't have this type of bowl, but if you have a bowl that kind of is a bit wider like this, so you've got the opening here, so it's not as deep, but it's got this kind of flared out effect. What you want to do is take the diameter, the inner diameter here, and add another inch or 2, okay? Because you want to start from the bottom. You want to create this like little dome shape, and then you want it to flare, right? So you can see mine flares there so that the bowl sits on the inside, and you want that flare so that you can make sure that your hands are protected when you pick up that bowl. What I think you might be okay doing is if you do this exact design that I'm doing, whoops, you could actually probably just continue to flare this edge out a little bit more, maybe by another inch or two. And I think your larger size bowl would still fit this exact size that I'm making. Okay, so that's what you want to kind of take stock of and write down this measurement. And then the materials I'm using, again, this is a great scrap busting project. So I'm using a lot of leftover bundles here. So I am using the Line Brand 24/7 cotton yarn. Love this line of cotton yarn. It's just fantastic. It's mercerized. It's got this pretty little sheen to it, and it's nice and strong, and it's perfect for heat related projects. It is a medium 4-weight yarn. I feel like this is really on the light side of a medium 4, but that's what it's considered. So I've just got some leftover skeins here from another project. So I've got some white, and in case you're wondering, this color is camel. You've seen me use these colors in a few other projects and this yarn. And actually, I'll leave some links down below if you're curious to see what are the things I've made using this yarn. Very, very handy. And then I had some leftover, just some tiny bits left over that I absolutely want to use up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these on the very bottom, because that way you won't see it around the top. It can still look cute from the top, but we can use up this scrap yarn here. So this is just a leftover from this project that I used, which was, I forget the color of this one, but it was this and a cream alternate. So just kind of gave it a fun little festive color, which, you know, if you've got Thanksgiving coming up or even the holidays, you could do it in red and white, which is really cool. So that is the yarn. And then the hook size is actually the recommended hook size for this yarn, which is a 4mm hook. I hope you guys can see that there. I'll put up a graphic as well. And in case you go by another label, it is known as a G or a size 6 as well. So that is the hook. And as always, make sure that you have a yarn needle on hand to weave in your ends, and of course, a handy pair of scissors. And then once you've got all your materials together, you're going to be ready to crochet up your very own bowl cozy. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with this white yarn because I have very little bit left, and I think I can get away with doing the little center here. So in this project, you can see that I basically changed colors every 2 rounds. So I did 2 rounds of this kind of terracotta color and then 2 rounds of the cream. And I'm going to kind of follow that same trajectory, but just at the very beginning here, I'm just going to try and use up my little scraps here. So this is why I have this little bit of white. So we're going to begin by placing a magic ring or creating a magic circle. So it's basically like you're going to begin a slip knot, but you don't resolve it. Then I'm going to reach in and pull up a loop. And then what I want to try and do is chain 1, just like that, and it secures the magic ring. And then I always like to just pull that tail out from outside, but make sure you work over the tail because this is what we're going to use to cinch the circle. If you're still a little bit new on cinch circles, I do have a tutorial on the cinch circle, and just to kind of go nice and slow. So if you need a little refresher, there will be a link in the description box down below. Okay, so next what we want to do is we want to chain an additional 2. So in total, we have 3. This is simply going to give us the height of our double crochet. Now, I'm not going to count this as anything for this particular round. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to double crochet into the center of this ring. Now, I know I have white yarn on white background, but that will change very shortly. So hopefully you guys can see that. So I yarn over. Okay, and I'm just going to continue placing double crochets into the center of this ring until I have a total of 12 double crochets. And remember, I'm ignoring that chain 3. Okay, so I have 12 double crochets in the center of my ring, and this is where I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to pull on it so it cinches the center shut. And don't be afraid to really pull. And I still have a little bit left of this white yarn, so I'm going to just keep it for a moment. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the top of the very first double crochet. So this is the chain 3. I'm not going to work into that. I'm going to ignore it. And I'm going to go into the top of that double crochet, the very first one we did. And I'm going to slip stitch to join, just like that. So that is the very bottom of our cozy. And round 1 is complete, and we have 12 stitches. So now we're going to go on to round number 2, and we're going to chain 3 to begin. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to go right back into that same stitch and double crochet. And this time I will count this chain 3 as a double crochet. Okay? So technically there's 2 stitches coming out of that first stitch, the chain 3 and the double crochet. For round number 2, I'm going to continue placing 2 double crochets into each and every single stitch. And at the end of round number 2, you should have 24 stitches. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of round number 2. You can see that I had to switch colors because I ran out of the white. And I actually have a tutorial on how to join your yarns if you run out halfway through, and it's a really nice seamless way to do that. So if you're curious about that, I will leave a link to that in the description box down below. I know many of you have already seen it, so I'm just gonna go on ahead. So we're at the end of round number 2, and sometimes this looks like it's a stitch, and I actually wasn't paying attention. I did work into it. Be careful because it will give you more stitches than necessary. So at the end of round number 2, you should have 24 stitches. So I have 24 stitches, so I'm now gonna go up to the top of the 3rd chain here, and I'm going to insert my hook and slip stitch to join. Now I'm inserting my hook, but because now I will officially change colors, I am going to introduce my next color, and that is the color I'm going to pull through when I slip stitch to join. Okay, so I pull that through. You will have to pull on that cream color a little bit there. And then I'm going to chain 1. Okay, so I'm gonna just make sure I pull on that cream. So in this round, round number 3, we're gonna be using single crochet stitches, and we're still gonna continue to increase. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna work into the very next stitch here, and I'm gonna place 2 single crochets. So we have 1, and we have 2. Now, I am working over this short tail of this color I'm using, but the other color that I dropped, I'm not working over it. I'm leaving it there because when we come back around, we're going to pick it up again. And if you saw my little mini sweater Christmas ornaments, I use this technique as well because I was also alternating colors there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is into the next stitch, I'm just going to place 1 single crochet. Okay, so there's 1. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to place 2 single crochets. So this is, whoops, my tail's getting in there. So this is the pattern of our repeat here. So we have 2 single crochets in one stitch and then 1 in the next. So your pattern is going to be 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around until you come back to the beginning. And I'm going to meet up with you here because remember we chained 1 and we did not work back into that first stitch. We're going to work that in at the very end. So I'm just going to work my round here and I'll meet back up with you. At the end of round number 3, you should have 36 stitches. Okay, so this was an increase here, and I have 1 more stitch. So remember that chain 1, we just skipped to the next one. So we're going to go right in there. We're going to ignore that chain 1, and we're going to place our last single crochet, and we're going to keep this color going. So when we slip stitch to join, we are not going to drop this yarn. We're going to keep it, and we should have our 36 stitches. As always, I recommend that if you're ever unsure that you go back and count. And actually, I'm going to do a little something here. I'm going to take that out. And before I slip stitch to join, because we're not bringing this color back for yet another round, I like to bring this up and make sure that it gets trapped in here when I slip stitch to join. So I'm just going to trap it in there so that it comes up with it. Whoops, and slip stitch. Okay, so you can see it's coming up with that. Now, on the inside of this one, you can definitely see the seam here. And one of two things. First, I am doing 2 layers of this. So this second one is actually going to sit inside here. That's going to insulate this a little bit more for my taste. I think you might be okay with just this one layer. And if you are, then the bowl sits inside, so it doesn't even really get seen. And at the end of the day, this is supposed to be very utilitarian. So it's not the end of the world, but I am going to be making a second one that will sit on the inside. So the wrong sides will be facing each other. So you won't see that visible seam where the colors are being carried up from the inside of the bowl, just in case that might bother you. Okay, so I am doing 2 layers just to be on the safe side. Okay, so now we're going to continue on with this terracotta color. Let me get this cream out of the way. And for round number 4, this is the round we're moving on to, there will be no increases this time. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to go back into the same stitch there that I slip stitched out of. And now every single stitch is going to just simply get 1 single crochet into each. And by the way, if you get a little lost here at the beginning, like it's hard to find, I would strongly recommend putting a safety pin or some kind of a stitch marker there so you can remember where your very first stitch started. So go ahead and do this for round number 4, and you should still have 36 stitches. Okay, so I have completed round number 4 and I still have 36 stitches. And here is the top of that very first single crochet. So I'm just going to slip stitch to join. I am going to change back colors now. So I'm going to drop this color and I'm going to bring this one back up. So I'm going to bring that through to slip stitch to join. Okay, so I have something that looks like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to working double crochet stitches. So for 2 rounds, I always do double crochets, and then 2 rounds, I do single crochets. And that will be the pattern for the whole scenario with regards to the stitch and the colors. So now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And by the way, because we didn't increase in round 4, you're going to notice it's going to start to curl a little bit, and that is a-okay. That's what we want to do. We want it to start creating a bit of a shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the same stitch here and I'm going to double crochet. So I'm going to start with an increase. Now, a lot of times when I work in the round, I will alternate when I do an increase. Sometimes I will start with the increase and then do the single individual stitches. And then sometimes I do the individual stitches and then the increase. This is a technique that helps to keep the project more rounded. I find when you do continuous rounds with the increase in the exact same spot, you start getting that kind of pointed look. So that is why I'm doing this. And if that confuses you, just simply follow along with what I'm doing. And I think you're going to be a-okay. So we've done our increase. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do an individual stitch into each of the next 2 stitches. So I have 1 double crochet here and then 1 double crochet into the next. Okay, so I've got an increase and then 1, 2. So next I do an increase, which means I'm going to place 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And then I will do 1 and 2 individuals. So into the next one I do 1. And then into the next one I do 1. And that is the repeat for this round. So it's 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, etc. all the way around. And at the end of round number 5, you should have 48 stitches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just encourage you to go on to round number 6 because there are no increases. You will slip stitch to join with the same color, chain 3, and then you're going to do 1 stitch into each all the way around. Okay, so this is round 5 where we're doing the increases. And then you're going to go on to round 6 with no increases. And your stitch count should stay at 48 stitches for both round 5 and round 6. Okay, so I'm at the end of round number 6 where I did no increase, and you can really see that it's curling up. Again, I did a little color change there because my yarn ran out. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slip stitch to join to the top of that 3rd chain here. But now I'm going to change colors again. So I'm going to drop the white yarn. I'm going to pick back up my contrasting color again. And that is what I'm going to pull through right here to slip stitch to join. It's a little tight here for some reason. Top of that chain 3. There we go. And I pull on my white. And there we go. So it's starting to curl, which is what we want. And now we're going back to single crochets. So we're just going to chain 1. And for this round and the next round, so this round is round number 7. For round 7, 8, and 9, we are going to increase all of those rounds. So for round 7 and 8, we are doing single crochets in this color. And then round number 9, we will change back to our contrasting color and do double crochets. So in round number 7, we are now going to place an increase into every 4th stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to, so that chain 1 is there. I'm going to skip to the next stitch, and I'm going to count this as 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, so that chain 1 we're going to ignore right now. We're going to save that to the end. So we've done 3 single crochets, and now we're going to place an increase. So that means we're going to place 2. Okay, so that's the pattern here. 1, 2, 3, increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. When you go on to round number 8, you are going to increase into every 5th stitch. So that means you're going to stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase. And then for round number 9, we're going to change our color, and then we're going to go back to double crochet stitches. So you make sure to chain 3, and then you're going to increase into every 6th stitch. So you will do 5 stitches, and then you will do an increase in the 6th. Now, I'm not going to show you every single round because it would just make this video extremely long. And for those of you that know what you're doing, it would make it a little bit boring as well. But if you followed along what I've been doing so far, and I'll leave a graphic up here up on the screen, you press pause and then just make sure you have the right number of increases in the right spots, okay? So at the end of round 7, this current round, you're going to have 60 stitches. At the end of round 8, you'll have 72. And at the end of round number 9, you're going to have 84 stitches. Okay, so I've now completed round number 9. So I have something that looks like this. You can see it's just slightly starting to kind of curve and curl. And that's what we want. We don't want it to be too dramatic. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go back to single crochet stitches. So round 9 was double crochets, and I'm actually going to take that out. I always keep forgetting. So, and then I'm going to slip stitch to join. And then I'm going to bring up this white yarn here, and I'm going to bring it through to slip stitch. And now I'm going to do 2 rounds of single crochets with no increase. So round 10 and 11 has no increase. And then once we get to round 12, we will go back to a double crochet stitch, and we will increase into every 7th stitch. So right now I will chain 1. So you guys kind of know the drill. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but I just wanted to kind of be very clear so that those of you that are a little newer, there's no option for a mistake. So for round number 10 and 11, it's just 1 single crochet into every single stitch. And then for round number 12, we're going to go back to double crochet stitches. We're going to pick up this caramel color yarn, and we are going to increase into every 7th stitch. So that means you're going to do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and into the 7th stitch, you're going to place 2 double crochet stitches, okay? Once you've done round 10, 11, and 12, I will meet back up with you for round number 13, just to discuss the rest of the pattern. And as always, I'll leave it for you in a graphic just on the side here as well. So feel free to press pause, finish those rounds, and then I'll meet up with you shortly. Okay, so I have now finished round number 12, and from here on out, there will be no more increases. So we're gonna go on to round number 13, and we're gonna stay with the double crochet stitches. So we're going to, as usual, if I can organize my yarn here, as usual, we're gonna chain 3, and then for this round, we're just gonna place 1 double crochet into each and every single stitch. So this counts as 1, and then I go into the next one and double crochet. So these next rounds are really straightforward. Again, we're using basic stitches, so it should be nice and easy. So I'm going to leave you here because it's pretty nice and easy. So I'm gonna leave a little graphic here. Here's what's gonna happen. For round number 13, you're gonna do 1 into every single stitch, and you should still have 96 stitches at the end of round number 13. In round number 14, we're gonna switch back to our white yarn, and we're gonna do single crochet stitches, no increases. It should still be 96 stitches, as well as round 15. So round 14 and 15, we're gonna switch back to the white yarn and do single crochet stitches. For round 16 and 17, we will switch back to the camel color, and we'll go back to double crochet stitches. Also 1 stitch into every single stitch, and you should still have 96 stitches at the end of round number 17. So once you get up to round number 17, I'm going to meet up with you, and we're just going to do a little finishing round for round number 18, and then we'll almost be finished. Okay, so I have completed round 17. So now you can see the shape. Oops, let me just pull this out here. Now you can see the shape is really taking form here. So all we have to do is just a little final trim. And actually what I am going to do now is I am going to cut my caramel color because I'm no longer going to use it. So I'm just gonna snip a tail like that. And so for round number 18, we're just gonna do a decorative little round. So if you were only doing like just this one layer, you could just do this little decorative round and be done. Now I am gonna be combining this with another one, which I'll show you in just a moment. But the round number 18 is the same no matter which way you're gonna do it. So here's what we're gonna do. As you've noticed, I've changed back to my white yarn. So I'm gonna chain 1, and then I'm gonna single crochet right back into the same stitch there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try to work over that tail. Okay, so we have a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1. And this is what I'm gonna do into every single stitch. So I'm just gonna go into the next stitch right here, and I'm gonna single crochet and chain 1. Next stitch, single crochet, chain 1. And that is it. That is all you're going to do for your last round. And it just creates this cute little kind of scallop, mini scalloped edge there. Okay. So go ahead and do that all the way around. And then technically your bowl cozy will be done, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with mine in just a little moment. So go ahead and finish round number 18. Okay, so I've just done my very last single crochet on round 18. I'm going to chain 1, and then I am going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet that I created. And that's going to finish off my round. Now I am not going to snip my yarn. If you are happy just keeping your bowl cozy with 1 layer, then you would be finished, okay? So you can see it's got a subtle bowl curvature, so lots of room, very roomy in there. Now, I like to really reinforce my projects that involved a lot of heat. So 2 reasons. I want to make sure it's extra protective against the heat, but also as you can see where I carried my yarn in the seam. So this is where I'm going to bring out the other cozy. So to do it this way, you want to create 2 of these. And so this one has the seam on the inside. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this side with the seam and I'm going to turn it so that it's on the outside. And now I'm going to place that inside my other cozy. So what happens is you've got the nice side that faces on the inside and you've got the nice side that faces on the outside. So you hide those kind of little seams where you carry the yarn. And now I'm going to crochet these together so we have a nice thick fortified bowl cozy, and the heat's not going to get to your hands. So now what I'm going to do is, so remember we just took off here. So I'm going to work from the outside because I want the front of the stitch to be on the outside. So I'm making the decision that I'd like this cranberry and cream on the outside color, but really it is interchangeable. You could always do this as well whenever the mood strikes you. So because I'm most likely going to use this a lot more around Christmas time, I am going to make my cozies with this color on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find a space here. So any of the chain spaces, I'm going to insert my hook, and then I'm going to bring this loop and I'm going to pull it through here, and I'm going to chain 1. So now they're attached together, and we are going to be doing that same trim edge but into both layers. So that's going to crochet this shut. So right here I've done the chain 1. I'm going to go back in through that same space and then insert through the space on the other side, and I'm going to pull up a loop and I'm going to single crochet. So it's the same thing, single crochet, chain 1, and I'm always going to work into the chain spaces. So now I'm just going to go into the next chain space and then match it up with the chain space in the behind layer there. Just like that. Chain 1, and then into the next space, insert, and the next space, insert, single crochet, and chain 1. So you can see that it's going to close these off together. And I just kept it with the white because it will merge nicely with the cream. And then on the inside, it just looks like the white continues on. And that's it. And then your bowl cozy will be done. So I'm going to go ahead and crochet these edges all together. And then I'm going to come back on and show you the absolute final result. Okay, guys, my cozy is finished. So I've sewn all the edges around, I've woven in my ends. So this is what it looks like from the inside. So we already had a round of white. So now this edging here just kind of reinforces that. And then this is what it looks like on the outside. And you can see it really does look much more bowl shaped now. And it's perfect, so it's nice and thick. I really like this, those 2 layers. Honestly, this is what I would strongly recommend that you do, is make 2 of these and then crochet them together. It gives it a nice, thick, sturdy, cozy feel, and it will be extra protective from the heat. So if I take my bowl, for example, it fits perfectly in there. I like how there's an extra bit of lip here so that when you pick up the hot bowl, your hands are completely protected. It comes up just a little bit. Even if you had a few little spills, it's going to fall in the cozy. So that is our wonderful little bowl cozy. So what do you guys think? Did you enjoy working on this month's project? This is November's Home Sweet Home project. And I'm going to make a set of these. You know what? This would make for a fantastic housewarming gift, or even to make as part of a gift where you can put things in it, maybe as a hostess gift for all those holiday parties coming up. I think you can find a lot of uses for these, and I hope you found it pretty easy to do. So the bowl cozy is November's, and stay tuned because we've got one more installment left in this year's series, and that will be for the month of December. So stay tuned for that. Now, what I am very curious about, and you guys know I'm always all about the colors, is I want to know, what kind of colors are you guys going to use for your cozies? And would you make this as a gift? I definitely would make this as a gift. Right now, I'm making them as a gift to myself because I find it very, very handy. So nice and easy. It didn't take very long to make. and you can still have tons of time to whip this up for any of your holiday parties coming up. Now, if you have any questions, as always, please do leave them for me in the comment box down below. And if I don't get to in time, by the way, I know that our crochet community here will jump in and help you guys out in the comments there. I'd really like to encourage that. So make sure to do that. I know some of you really like to just email me directly, so you can go ahead and do that. So email me at info@crochetcrafty.com. And I always recommend that if you can, to attach a photo of your work so I can kind of see what the issue is and have a better grasp on it and be able to better help you out that way. And as always, come say hi to me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at The Stitch Sessions, and make sure to tag me in your bowl cozies because I want to see what colors you guys used. So that is it for this week's project. Stay tuned because now we're heading into the holiday season. You're going to start seeing a lot more holiday related crochet projects. I know you guys are excited about that. And soon you will be seeing my Christmas crochet tour for 2024. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys, as always, I wish you happy crocheting. Take good care of yourselves as always. And I look forward to seeing you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.